Hey all, well, I managed to source it in the end. The core rulebook for Warhammer, as they like to call it. And I wouldn't say it was hard to get hold of, but it wasn't easy as well. So this is starting to get iffy. And in fact, I ended up having to get a kind of dinked one, even though it wasn't labelled as dinked. But I don't know, it was a cheaper price, but I kind of feel like they would have sold me an undamaged one there for the same price. It happened to be, Sports Direct with Game and the last of their line, and it was a pretty good price for that, actually, if they've got any left at this point. See my previous rant on things like this. And the core rule book, it's very beautiful looking. We just go inside and we see a great big map there of the Empire. Lovely, lovely. And there's some great, at the beginning of the book, we've got some really evocative artwork there with a passage from whatever travel guide, the official passage on one side, and then the kind of unofficial response to that passage on the opposite side, and then that becomes a theme ongoing with these next few following pages. There's the windmill on fire, and the scarecrow with the sword going through it. It's suffered a bit of damage. It's kind of a warning for these lands. Here we have some more artwork. This is about the boats that go up through the Empire, the form of traveling down through the rivers, and the kind of beastmen attacks. Oh, but beastmen, they're not real. They're not supposed to exist. That's how Warhammer's supposed to work, right? I thought. But, what are those? They're just Skaven. They're just... so, yeah, some very nice kind of Germanic, because, the Empire is Germanic anyway. There's another really evocative one here, the artwork. And I think with something like this, I'd get the PDF as well, obtain it, and, send that to all of my players of the whole rule book, and just say, hey, this is it, read what you can of it. Although if it's a player that's completely new to the system, and they are, especially if they're new to role-play gaming, I think the amount of crunching here could be worrying without a GM to back them up. There's a bit of something going on here. I wouldn't worry about them getting too much spoiler stuff. I'd ask them to keep away from the bestiary, because that ruins a lot of their fun. But there's no adventure in here, unlike a lot of core rule books, and also like a lot of core rule books, I get it as well. I do tend to like an adventure in a core rulebook, just a little thing, but we do have some other options anyway to be able to run something. Contents through here, we can see the introduction on creating a character, even though we've got some pre-mades to run from the beginner box. Classes and careers, skills and talents, rules, between adventures. See, this is more of a role-play game, I think, than D&D, for example. You've really got to take account for your character, their career. That's what they essentially call it. They aren't just some cartoonish archetype. They really do what they are and are what they do, type of thing. And they exist between adventures, doing stuff. Duties and responsibilities, money to burn, general endeavours, class endeavours, the stuff to do between adventures, Religion and belief, huge big section on that, huge big section on magic, and yeah, all that good stuff, the consumer's guide. So in actual fact, the system could look a little bit crunchy to approach, and we're going to look a little bit at some examples, but effectively, you know, we've got it in hand here, and we'll be following up on some mechanics of the system and some impressions on it. I will say straight off the bat, having played second as a player, not as a GM, Laurie GM'd that one, which you'd know as Their Fated Travels in the end, that we turned the whole thing into a storybook. But, you know, as a player, and you get the business end of it, it was quite complicated in trying to get your head around the way that system worked, which is very particular. So we will talk about that particular system in another video. But I think there are some things in common there with the second edition that I played. This idea of completing a career and moving to another career. We'll get all into that in another video anyway. But book in hand, bit of a quick look at it. Looks pretty ace, but could be a bit daunting for people that are not really very experienced in roleplay gaming. And even if they are, there's a fair heft of crunch attached to this. Is it as much as D&D? In some respects, no. And in other respects, the way it goes about things, more complicated, yet less complicated. So there's something to consider. What do you think out there? Is this more crunchy or less crunchy than D&D? What do you say? Let's take your expert view. Let's poll you. All right. See you soon.